We've been motoring so much that I nearly forgot what sailing felt like. Feels pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. Got a nice breeze. Probably 10 to 13, maybe? Nearly on the beam. Happy sailing. For the past 8 days, we've constantly been on the move. After leaving Acapulco, we sailed roughly 120 nautical miles to Zihuatanejo, and from there continued north with stops in Caleta de Campos, Punta Negra, and finally Tenacatita. By the time we reached Tenacatita, just as the sun was rising, we were more than ready to drop anchor in a calm and well-protected bay. In total, we've covered about 360 nautical miles since leaving Acapulco. With an average speed of around 4 knots, that's roughly 45 nautical miles per day. We've been moving non-stop for a week, and while that might not sound like much, it starts to wear you down. Especially when you spend more than half of those nights at sea, taking turns while sleeping, and the rest anchored in rolly bays with the boat rocking from side to side. What makes it even more draining is that, contrary to what some people might think, this isn't an endless vacation for us. We've both been squeezing in our work hours whenever we can, amidst the constant motion. The past week has been rewarding, and we're grateful to have spent it together and for not having too many issues along the way. But honestly, we're really happy to have 2 full days of rest here in Tenacatita before heading off to our next leg. Tenacatita is a charming anchorage with a small river winding its way through the landscape. From above, it looks like a green snake cutting through the desert, because only where the river flows does the vegetation stay green. We'd heard that crocodiles in this area are usually moved to the nearby sanctuary, so we weren't overly worried until Boga decided to chase something into a lake. And when I realized it was a crocodile, my heart just about stopped. Sometimes having a little dog like Boga, who believes that love and kindness are universal and wants to make friends with everything and everyone, can be a little terrifying. Thankfully, no harm was done, but the shock still lingered for quite a while. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. We're about to pick up anchor here in Tenacatita in Mexico. We've been here, I think, 4 nights now, probably, and it's been quite the treat. This morning, there is actually wind. It's been getting kind of cold, to be honest. Like, especially at night, it gets really humid and cold, and this morning when I woke up, it was kind of like a November morning in Germany. That's what it felt like. It was all gray and cold and wet. We're going to sail today from Tenacatita to an anchorage in the Vallarta Bay, which is called Yelapa. And I think it's about 115 miles that we have to cover. There is a little point that we have to go around, Cabo Corriente, which is sometimes said to be a little gnarly when you have strong northerlies, but we're going with the southerlies, and by the time that we're going around, fingers crossed, there's supposed to be very light winds, so hopefully it's not going to be too crazy. I'm just going to do a last weather check and make sure I check the currents as well. Flo is still in a business call, so I was going to pick up anchor while he's in the call, but now I feel like I'm just going to have my coffee and wait for him to finish, and we'll do it together. Because why not indulge in the luxury of having an extra pair of hands if I can, right?
You ready to rumble?
It's nice to have two people when there's wind, so I can try and move the boat forward a little bit whilst we pick up the chain, and Flo can flake it. Ooh, we've got like 12 knots. It's been a while since we've had wind above 12 knots, and today we're gusting just under 20. So we started out with a reef in the main, mostly so I could make breakfast without the boat heeling over too much. Knife at an angle doesn't make for easy cooking. But it felt really good to feel the wind moving us toward our next destination mile by mile. After breakfast, with the wind steady and the seas relatively calm, we shook out the reef and let Karl stretch his legs. For the first time in a while, we had enough wind to enjoy some decent speed, gliding along with full sails up. So here's something that's a bit hard for me to share. In the past 11 years of sailing Karl, not once have I tried out my whisker pole. I've struggled countless times with my massive genoa and light winds and rolly seas, but for some reason, I never dared to set it up. Each time I'd crafted a perfectly reasonable excuse, well, at least to myself, but deep down, I knew it was absolutely silly not to use it. And still, I didn't dare. You know, those moments when you know you should do something and it makes perfect sense, but you still don't? Yeah, this was one of those things. And honestly, it's quite hard to admit. To myself, let alone to someone else. Flo, on the other hand, uses his whisker pole all the time on his Halbergrassi. So he was eager to get Karl's pole set up. The whole situation stressed me out quite a bit, but I let him take over, and in no time the whisker pole was up. Turns out it wasn't rocket science after all. But I still can't shake the feeling that it's a bit dangerous. I guess that I'll get better with more practice, especially now that I know I can still roll in the Genoa without any problems. Once we made a few small adjustments, we were sailing wing on wing with the pole. For me, it's like a dance between pure bliss and staying on your toes to make sure you don't accidentally jibe. Isn't it funny how sometimes all it takes is a little nudge from someone else to push you out of your comfort zone? Have you ever found yourself in a situation like that, where it took a bit of encouragement for someone else to try something you didn't feel ready to do on your own? Well, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. We had a smooth sail through the night and a breathtaking sunrise at sea. And thanks to some solid weather planning, we managed to avoid any trouble with the notorious waves and currents around Cabo Corrientes. Flo and I have now moved Karl over 500 nautical miles together, and we're really becoming quite the team. Instead of stopping in Yelapa, we decided to head straight to Tomatlan, where our teamwork will be put to the test. We'll be anchoring in deep water with very little room to swing, and we'll need to bring a stern anchor to shore to hold our position. But more about that next week.